Hello there, and welcome to Casual Fridays by I Read Aloud, the podcast that discusses various themes from a personalized lens so that you always end up with my unwarranted advice and my own take on matters. I am your host, Dada, and I do urge you to look me up on YouTube. Just search for at I Read Aloud, and you will enter my world of storytelling with the click of a button. I just want to remind you before I begin this episode that this podcast airs Fridays on the following platforms: YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and RSS. Today's episode is on birthday celebrations, and I will start by telling you how I celebrate my birthday. I move on then to talk about why some people do not like to celebrate their birthdays. Then I'll move on to a brief history on how birthdays came to exist, and I end with some traditions from around the world that include certain countries that don't celebrate individual birthdays. So I hope you stick to the end, and let's begin. Now, I am a June baby, and so I'm a summer child. And so, because my birthday is in the beginning of summer, and everyone wants to party, when summer begins, and it's still not that hot. So, really, I end up celebrating almost the whole of the month with a plethora of people, different friends from different groups and different family members. I usually celebrate the day of my birthday with my family because it's tradition for us to, cut the cake together and have a quiet dinner at home. Sometimes we go out, but generally we do it like as a home affair and a family affair. But the days before, the days after, I have different outings, lunches here, dinners there. I'm always invited, of course, because I'm the birthday girl. I always get gifts, of course, because I'm the birthday girl, and I love the month of June. I look forward to it. It's even more fun than Christmas time, I'm telling you. So, because I love celebrating my birthday so much, it came as a shock to me to discover at one point in my life in my 20s that there were some people who did not like to celebrate their birthdays. And started actually when I met a young lady who was my student at university and who then became one of my closest friends till today. And she did not like to celebrate her birthday. And, you know, I was a bit, worried at first. I was her friend. How could I not acknowledge this day for her? I mean, I could not let it pass without me doing something special for her, but she didn't like to celebrate her birthday. So I kind of found a way to make her day special without imposing a celebration on her. So what I used to do was take her out on one of our usual outings, like a dinner or a dinner and a movie. And of course, I would pay the bill because it's her birthday. And at some point, I just like slide a small gift across the table. And at the end of the dinner, I would, order the restaurant dessert and take a small candle out of my purse and light it discreetly without anyone, noticing or without any fanfare and ask her to make a wish and blow out the candle. And it actually worked. But my friend is not the only one who doesn't like to celebrate her birthday. There are many people out there who don't like to do that, and there are many reasons for it. Some people have social anxiety and feel embarrassed to receive gifts or even receive any special attention in public in general. Some others like to be in control of things and might be anxious that their party might not be a success, so they would rather not have it at all. Some people don't like surprises in general, and because of their social anxiety, they prefer, to play things on the down low. And still, some others suffer from depression around the time of their birthday. It is known as the birthday blues because their birthday reminds them of some unhappy memory or situation, maybe a lack of accomplishment in some area of their lives, or maybe even a reminder of their aging. I mean, there is definitely a lot of social pressure and expectation on having to achieve certain milestones in a specific order by certain ages or a certain time frame, such as you have to finish school by the age of 18, then you have to get into college and get a college degree 3, 4 years thereafter, unless you're doing like medical school, and that's till your late 20s. Then you have to get married by the age of 30, for example, and have children by 35. And birthdays could remind people of their age and lack of certain achievements, and that could be daunting and depressing, really. And of course, this won't be my podcast if there is no side note and no digression from my topic slightly. But I have to say that social pressure and social expectation can only affect you if you let them. My advice to you is to live your life at your own pace. And remember, so many people started their businesses after the age of 50, and many people became famous or millionaires after the age of 50. And these days, with all scientific advancements, even childbirth is now possible till the age of 50 or even a bit more. And there are a few exceptions too of childbirth at the age of 60 or so. We each have our own unique life path, and sometimes not conforming to society and its expectations can be the best thing to happen to you. So, again, my advice to you is to look at your own desires and your own feelings and your own expectations and stop comparing yourself to others. And believe me, if you look closely at the lives of people you look up to or you feel are better than you or whatever, and you think they have it all, these people sometimes that you compare yourself to may actually are be miserable, unhappy, might even be fighting their own demons. Because sometimes living and achieving by social standards may seem all glittery on the outside, but it is in fact mostly pain and dissatisfaction on the inside. Because to achieve all that, between quotations, all that, people have to ignore what makes them happy and what makes them satisfied. Anyway, back to my main topic. I was talking about people who don't like to celebrate their birthdays, and I want to say here that people's feelings should be respected, and people should not be forced into a party or a public celebration if they don't like it. This doesn't mean that you don't, celebrate the birthday at all, or that you ignore the birthday altogether, because this means that you don't care for the other person, that you don't, hold them in high regard or high esteem, or you don't, remember them or remember their birthday. So what do? You send them maybe a text message wishing them a happy birthday, and then you do something that they are amenable to. It could be something that they do every day that doesn't require any extra effort on their part, such as going on a hike maybe with you, for a walk with you, I don't know, having a coffee with you, having dinner with you, whatever it is, just something that they feel up to on their birthday. And you can do that and not impose on them anything that is undesirable. In all cases, I have to say here that the idea of celebrating birthdays is a tradition that is not found all over the world. There are certain religions, for example, that do not celebrate birthdays because it goes against, the doctrine, this religious doctrine that they believe in. And even in Christianity, and Christians who celebrate Christmas, which is the hugest birthday, if you want, of the year in Christianity, the early Christians and even some Christians today don't celebrate individual birthdays because birthday celebrations began as a pagan tradition. The pagans, if you don't know what a pagan is someone who would worship a statue. And that was the idea, before Christianity came to being, before the celestial religions came into being, people used to worship, a statue that would represent, for example, the sun god or the love god or the rain god or whatever. And so the pagans used to believe that a birthday is a major change in someone's life. And so an evil spirit could possess that someone on their birthday because of that huge transformation in the life of that person. And so the birthday celebration was actually a ritual to ward off evil spirits. And aside from that, the first recorded birthday celebration was in ancient Egypt. The pharaoh was seen as a god, and so when the pharaoh, when or the person, that would become a pharaoh, became a pharaoh, it would mean that they are birthed as a god. They are no longer human. And so the celebration that used to happen, this what would be a birthday celebration in that case, was celebration of a human that became birthed into divinity, if you will. And it was the Greeks who brought in the tradition of lighting candles on a birthday cake, because the Greeks used to offer moon-shaped cakes to the goddess Artemis, and they used to light candles to make the cake seem as though it is glowing, and therefore reflecting the beauty of Artemis. So far in history, and what I've said so far, birthdays were really reserved for gods and goddesses, aside from the pagan tradition. And it seems that the Romans were the ones who started celebrating birthdays for non-religious figures, and they introduced the idea of presenting gifts as well. And despite the abhorrence of pagan traditions, Christians began celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ in the form of Christmas around the 4th century. And the reason was because they wanted to go up against the Roman tradition of celebrating a day called, or like it was actually a few days, called Saturnalia. Now, Saturnalia was held around 17 December. It could go on to 19 December as well. And so by creating the Christmas, the birth of Jesus celebration on the 25th of December, they kind of, went up against the Roman traditions and celebrations, so as to bring in Romans to Christianity. And believe it or not, the idea of blowing out a candle to make a wish seems to have started in Germany around the 18th century, when they used to have parties for children. That's what kind of like became a thing in Germany at the time, and they wanted, the kids to do something fun, so they would have the tradition of bringing a cake with candles, and the children would have to blow out the candles with a wish. Despite all these traditions that have come up, for individual birthdays, still not many cultures till today celebrate individual birthdays. In Bhutan, for example, individual birthdays are celebrated collectively on the 1st of January. So everyone becomes a year older on the 1st of January. Also in Vietnam, everyone gets a year older on the Vietnamese New Year, known as Tet, and the date for Tet changes yearly. In Japan also, and up till 1950 or so, the whole population used to become a year older by New Year. But by 1950s, things changed a bit, and celebrations today of birthdays are individual celebrations. Some cultures accentuate certain ages, certain birthdays, of an individual more than others. So in Chinese culture, for example, the most celebrated birthdays are those of the age of 60 and 80, and they are seen as major milestones. And as fortuitous numbers, and a large celebration is had, whereas for the other birthdays, it's just a small celebration. And this is a similar idea to the quinceañera birthdays for 15-year-old Mexican girls who, celebrate their 15th birthday to mark their entry into womanhood. So, whether you celebrate your birthday or you don't, I wish you a long and happy life in which you are true to yourself and listen to your own voice and do your own thing and keep on crushing it. And that brings me to the end of today's episode. Next week's topic shall be on college degrees and their importance. I hope you will tune in then. For now, I wish you a lovely weekend and I send you all my love. Till next Friday.